Okay, so I think I am live now, and yep. So welcome back, everybody, for our third day for the HTML and CSS. Let me just mute myself here. So we are going to start with some more advanced CSS. For now, let me just close the camera here. Yeah. So let's just start. By the way, like how you people are doing? Like it's too cold here, by the way. So that's why I just asked you. So in today's session, we are going to cover more CSS and like the advanced parts. So in the yesterday's session, we covered the box model, like somewhat box model. If you want to ask me any question related to the that we have done yesterday, so just ask me so that I can clear it out before moving to our next topics. Mhm. Do you want? Yeah. By the way, am I audible? So this is what we created yesterday. So in the yesterday's session, we came to know about the types of selector we have in CSS. That is class selector, ID selector, and the tag selector. Then we selected these divisions, and we have also given them some styling. Moreover, the basic styling like background color, border width, border color, border style, margin, padding, font as well. Like we also changed the font size, font weight, letter spacing. So these kind of styling we have already did in the yesterday's session. Today we will cover the Flexbox, which is the one of the most important topic in CSS. So can I continue to the next point? Before moving to the next point, let's just have a quick recap about the box model. So in CSS, everything is like a box. Everything that you see is a box for CSS. So every HTML element, if it is H1, paragraph, division, whatever, every element is a what do you say, like it's a box for the CSS. So every box can have three things. Can have a border, and this is how you can basically style the border. Then it can have a space outside of it, and this is what we call as a margin. So you can basically change the margin around it like this, and then it can have some internal cushioning. So it's some internal cushion, and this is we call as a padding. So this inner area, and from here we will start our content. So whatever the content you have will start from here. So this is called as a box model. Now in today's session, we are going to understand how we can arrange these items in a desired manner. So in our previous class, we saw that we created three division, and these divisions are basically one after another. What if I just want to have laptop and the phone division? Like I just want to have my phone division here and the laptop division here. So like here, I just want my laptop to be, and then I want my last one, that is I think watch, to be on the top of this. So how I can do this all? So for that we basically have to make use of something called as Flexbox. So Flexbox is a CSS property in CSS that you can use to make some layout. So what is layout? Layout is arranging your elements on your screen. So if you want to arrange some elements or HTML things on your screen in a particular order, suppose if you want to have a box here, then a box here, and a box here. So these kind of, this is called as a layout. So you can create a layout very easily by using the Flexbox, right?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Your camera is turned off. Please
Oh,
turn it on.
okay, okay. So we can create this by the Flexbox. So for that, let me just remove all this, and let's also remove all of our styling because we are going to do everything from the scratch now, like this. And let's just create a first thing. So firstly, I'm just going to create a div here. Inside this div, let's just have three more divs. Let's just create a one more div, and let's have three more div. And let me just format these divs. For the very first div, let me just give an ID of, let's say container, and the div 1 and 2 will get 1, 2, and 3 will get the ID of 1, will get ID of 2, and this one is going to get the ID of 3 now. So now I have three division. Let me just also write 1, 2, 3 here. 1, 2, and 3, like this. Let's just grab this by element. So container, by the ID I'm grabbing it, and let me just give it a background color of red just for now. I just bring these two things side by side. So this one here and this one here. I think the spelling is not correct. Container. Yeah. So now we have this black color. One thing you can notice that we have some white space around it. As you can see that I have some white space here. So what is this white space? Actually, when you use CSS or when you just create your HTML, your browser by default applies some of the styling. So this is actually a padding. So this is actually a padding, and I haven't applied any padding in my document. So this is actually applied by the browser. So it depends on which browser you're using. So right now I'm using Chrome. If you use Firefox, you will get some different output, and if you use any other browser, you will see some different output. So let me just fix this because I don't want this unnecessary margin. For that, I'm going to use a very special selector, which is star. This is a selector which is going to select every element from my HTML document. So we use this as a star selector. Inside this, all you have to do is to write margin 0, padding 0. These are the two things that you have to write here inside of this. And as soon as I will save it, you can see that that unnecessary margin and the padding is gone now. Otherwise, you will have that unnecessary margin and padding that is actually applied by the browser. So you are not the one who applied that styling; it is was actually applied by the browser. And this is a very special selector star, and we use this to select all the elements throughout your document. So you're selecting everything and you're giving this margin and padding 0 every element in your HTML, right? And before moving to the next part, one thing you can notice, this division is taking up the whole width. Like as you can see, like it's red throughout my complete width of my document, right? And if I, let's say, let me just remove this for now, and let me just write here 1. So it is taking the whole width. If I create one more division, so let me just create a one more division here, and let me just give it ID of container 2, and let me just write 2 here. And if I'm going to give it, let me just style this as well, and I'm just going to give it some different styling. Let's say green. It is again taking up the whole width. Whole width it is taking. Why? Because div is a type. There is a type of elements we have in HTML, and which is block and inline. So there's also one more tag here, which is called a span. It is also same as the uh, div here. We also use it to have some content inside of it. But if I'm going to grab it like this, 3, and if I'm going to give it a color, let's say a black background color of blue. So let me just grab this and let me just give it a color of blue. As you can see here, there's a difference. The difference in the div and the span. So this one is a span, and these two are the divs. So what is the difference here? So span is an inline element. So this span is an inline element, and div is actually a block element. So what is the difference between a block and an inline element? And the difference is that a block element will always take the whole width, and an inline element like span is just going to take the width that it requires. It's not going to take more width than it actually needs. So this is the difference between one of the difference between block and the inline element. And the second difference is, if you have two inline elements side by side, they are not going to start from the new line. They will basically continue from the same line. But you can see this in my division, they are starting from the new line. And the reason is simple, because they don't leave any space for any other element. So it will always it will always start from the new line. So if you have a new division here, so if I create a new division after this, it will start from the new line. See, this division is starting from the new line, even though you have some space left here. So a block element, and div is a block element. will always start from a new line. There are many more block elements like h1, h2, all the heading tags are the block element. Then you have the paragraph, it is also a block element. But then span is a inline element. Then you have button, which is also an inline element, and likewise. So some of the elements are inline and some of the elements are in block. It depends like what element you are using. Yep. And now let's move to the next part, and which is actually what we were about to do. Let me remove everything. Now let's just have everything back to the initial state like this. And let's just remove this. Let's just get some colors from color hunt, because this red is looking very ugly. So let's just get this color as the background, and let me grab each of the division like 1, 2, and the 3, and let me all give the background color to all of them. And let's just give them the yellow color, this one. Let's just give this one the red, and for the 3, let's just give this color like this. So now what I have here, okay, is 3 proper boxes, kind of boxes. And let me just change the font family as well. Font family or anybody, I think the name was anybody. I'm selecting everything, and I'm giving everything a font family of anybody. So I don't have to do this again and again. So you just do this once and it will be available throughout your document, right? And the next thing I want to do, I'm just going to create a class here, box, and I'm going to give two properties, the width and the height, like this. And I'm going to use this class for this one, like this. So notice one thing, what is happening. If you apply a styling with ID and the class both, if you apply a styling for any division or anything by using ID and the classes both, what will happen? Everything that is in both the classes and the ID will be applied. So this division is of height and with 100 pixel, and also it is having the color yellow, right? But what if you have some style here as well, like this? I'm giving it height of 200. I'm giving height of 200 in the ID. I'm giving a height of 200 in the ID, and the height is 100 in the class. And I've given these two things to this. So I'm selecting the same division by using class and with ID as well. And like most of the properties are different, but height property is same in both the cases. So just take a guess what will happen. Is this thing is going to be 100% of height or like 200 pixels of height? Just take a guess and give me the answer. So let's see what you people are going to guess here. Yeah, good evening everybody, good evening. Oh, okay, good, sorry. 200 pixel, okay. Yep. So let me just give the answer, and the answer is you are going to get the 200 pixels. And the reason is, if there is a clash in the property between class and ID, anything that you have in the ID will be applied. So it's going to override whatever you have inside the class. It is going to override whatever you had in the class. See, the height got increased to 200 pixels, even though in the class you were giving the 100 pixels of height. And why it happened? It is because of a rule in CSS which we call as specificity. So if you are going to select a same element with a ID, with a class, and with a tag selector, so you can also use the tag selector. And if these three things going to have the same CSS property, let's say color blue, so the color blue, the color will be applied. Sorry, color. If these three things have the same CSS property, in this case, whatever the color you have in the ID will be selected. So you can say it like this: ID have more priority than the class, and class have more priority than the tag selector. And we call this specificity, right? So for now, let me just remove this, and let me just give the class to all of them. So I don't have, because why I'm doing this? I'm doing this because I don't want to repeat this 100 pixels of height and width again and again. And now I have three boxes with the height of 100 pixel, with the width of 100 pixel, with some background color, and this is the container. In the background you have this container, so this pinkish color is the container you have, right? And now what I want here, I want to arrange these boxes, I want to arrange these boxes inside, like these three boxes inside this container. Instead of having them in this order, I just want to have them in this order. So this is what we are going to learn today. Before that, let me just give this a container a height as well. So let me just give it a height of, let's say, 600 pixels, like this. Let us zoom out of it. Now this container is having a 600 pixel. Let's just make it 500 pixel. So this container is also having a height of 500 pixels now. So this is 500 pixels, and these three are the 100 pixels here. And now for that, I'm going to use CSS Flex. So first thing first, if by using Flex, you're going to arrange the item. Are actually going to arrange the item. And in this particular case, I want to arrange these three boxes, right? But first thing that you have to keep in mind, like inside which you want to arrange. So I want to arrange these three boxes inside this container. Inside this container. So inside this container, I have these three boxes. So you have to give the display property of flex. So you have to give display property of flex to the container. To the container. So this is a display property of flex that you have to give to the container, not to the elements. You don't have to give this to the elements. You have to give this property to the container. And now, as soon as you do this, some new properties will be added for this container. So now there are some more CSS properties that you can give to this container. And also, as soon as you do this display flex for any container, at that exactly moment, this container will have a main axis and a cross axis. So what is main axis? Main axis is a line which follows from left to right, and this is what we call as the main axis. And the cross axis is actually from top to bottom, and this is what we call as the cross axis. Yep. And any content inside of this box is going to follow the main axis. And see, what is the main axis? It's left to right. And as soon as I'm going to give it a save, as you can see, all the elements are following the main axis, which is left to right. So they are following the main axis. So now this is like little bit changed now. Like you can do this main axis and you can basically get the direction from the main axis. So all the content is actually following the main axis now. And remember, you have to give the display property flex to the container. So we have this container here. In my HTML, I have this container. Inside the container, I have three divisions. And I'm giving the display property of flex to this container. That is why all the content that I have inside of it is going to follow the main axis. Right? Now for the second thing. If you want to, if you want to arrange your content along the main axis, if you want to move your content along the main axis, in that case, you have to use a property called let's justify content. Justify content. And again, you have to give this property to the container. So by giving the justify content property, you can move your content along the main axis. And there are some fixed values that you can give. One of the values is called as center. So now all the content inside of your container will be in the center of the main axis. As you can see now, it is in the center of the main axis. All the content is in the center of the main axis. If you want all of these things to be separated with the maximum possible space in between of them, in that case you can use the space between property. Now they have the maximum possible space in between of them, as you can see here. Then we have also property like space around. In the case of a space around, this particular space and this particular space is equal to this particular space and this space, and which is equals to this space and this space. So this is how it works. So this is space around property. Okay, space around. Then you have something called as space evenly. In this case, all the spacing is evenly distributed. Everything is evenly distributed. So this is all about the justify property. For now, let me just go with the space around for now. Then if you want to move your content along the cross axis, so far we were just moving our content along the main axis, which actually moves from left to right. If you want to move your content from along the cross axis, which is top to bottom, you can use the property align items. Yeah, I know, like it's why we have a different name. It should be justify item some or like something like that. But this is what we use here. So if I'm going to write here, let's say center, all the content will be in the center of the cross axis. All the content is in the center of the cross axis. Then you can have end, flex end. So all the content will be in the end of the cross axis. Okay, will be in the end of the cross axis. And then you have start. So in the start, they are like at the start of the flex. By default, it is stretch. So there is one more property which is called stretch. But as you can see here, if I provide the align item stretch, nothing is happening. So this property will only take effect. This property will only take effect with if these boxes are not going to have any height here. So for that, let me just remove the height. So if I'm going to remove the height here like this, so then this align items stretch will take effect. So now it is stretching your content along the cross axis. And if I do, let's say center, now they all be will be in the center now. So now they are not stretched, now they are in the center. But also they are not having any height right now. So that's why they are just taking up the height of its content. So these are the basic properties. So these are the some of the basic things about the flex here. Let me just also give it a height as well. Height of let's say 100 pixel, and let me just make it center and the center. So this is how you can basically make anything center. If somebody asks you how you can make anything in the center of your division, just use these three properties together and you will put your content in the dead center of that container here. So this box is in the center of this container here by using display property flex. So now, as soon as I given the display property of flex, this division have the main axis from left to right and the cross axis from top to bottom. And you can give the property justify content center. So that because of that, it is in the center of your container. Then you can get the align items. So it will be in the center of the main axis and the cross axis both. Yeah, I hope you got the point. So this is all about the basics of flex. Like Shani Prajapati, Visual Studio 2013. Like I don't personally use that software. It's mostly used for the .NET programming and something like that. What is a tag? Container tag? No, no, this is not a tag, Dheeraj. It's not a tag. This is a ID. It's the ID I have given to this division. There's no like it makes sense to have a proper good name. So it is just the ID I am giving to this division. You could have given it any ID, but in that case, it won't make any sense. Yeah, you can download the version 2013 of VS Code, but why you would like to use that? It's too old. Okay, so we have covered the basics of Flex. So can we move to the next part? Yeah, hello. And that is like a little bit of animation. Yeah, hi. Like अभी आ रहे हैं क्या सब? आधा सेशन हो गया यार, तब आ रहे हो तुम लोग. Okay, so let's just move to the next part. Yeah, by the way, before moving to the next part, let me just tell you one more thing. Let us have two things inside of it, like this. And let me just remove the justify center and the dead center like this. Now, one thing you can notice here that these boxes are of 100 pixel width and 100 pixel width, right? But the boxes are of 100. Let me just remove the width from here. Now they don't have any width. Now the box 1 and the box 2 don't have any width. And this much of the space is still available. This much space is free available here. No? It's freely available. So there are some properties that you can apply to the items itself. So these are the items 1 and 2. These are the items of the container, which is flex. So now you can also write some properties inside this also. Like you have align item, align self, and let me just write center here. As you can see, now this one is centered. So this is one of the property, but the property in which I'm interested in right now is called as flex grow. And let me just give it a property of 1. And now let me just remove it for now. So for the now you can see that these boxes don't have any width right now, no width. So they are just taking up the width they require. So whatever the content actually demands, they have this much amount of it, and this much of the space is freely available. So what we can do, just go inside any of one of them. So let me just go inside the one here. Now I'm going to provide it a value of flex grow of 1. As soon as I will do this, what will happen? Whatever the amount of free space you have here is going to be taken up by with this one container. Let me just save it. And as you can see, the amount of free space that was available is now taken up by the one, right? Then what is 1 here? If you even provide here, let's say 5, you're still getting the same result. Even if I provide here, let's say 1,000 or 10,000, 10 lakh, whatever you want, you will get the same amount, the same result. Then what is this? Why we are providing this 1 or 2? So it's actually a ratio. Ratio of what? If I also provide this flex grow of 1 to this 2 here as well, so container 2, now you can see the free space is equally divided by these two. Why? If I remove this property from here, flex grow from both of these, like this, and if I save it, now I have free space, right? If I write, let's say, flex grow of 1, and same with this flex grow of 2. Now it specifies, this thing specifies that whatever the amount of space freely available, so it is going to be shared by these two things in the ratio of 1:2. Okay, 1:2. So the container 1 is going to take the 1 ratio, some this much amount, and the 2 will take a lot of space from this. So it is actually the ratio in which they will divide the free space which is available. So now you can see the 1 is like little smaller and 2 is little bigger. So it is also one of the most important properties. That's why I also covered it. So I think I can remove it from now. I hope you understood this flex grow. Would you help me to get the internship? Yeah, you can apply. You can join our course. In that course, we have full job. VS Code is tough to access. It's very easy. Like VS Code is one of the most popular and one of the easiest code editor out there. सर रो लेवल एंड कॉल लेवल बताओ ना प्लीज. अरे यार वो तो फिर ग्रिड विड तो नहीं पूछ रहे हो कि वो पूछ रहे हो फ्लेक्स डायरेक्शन. गौरव, फ्लेक्स डायरेक्शन अगर पूछ रहे हो तो बता दूंगा. ग्रिड में आपको बहुत ज़्यादा टाइम लग जाएगा. ग्रिड में अभी अपने पास सिर्फ आधा घंटा बचा है आज. ग्रिड टेम्पलेट ये तो उसके लिए है, ये तो अलग है. वो ग्रिड है भाई, वो अलग है. अनेबल टू रन लाइव. या आई थिंक फर्स्ट थिंग ना, just check if your file name is index.html. It should be index.html, otherwise it won't work. Then you have to install the extension live server. So just install this extension live server, this one, and you will get what you say, a button here, go live. So let me just click on this button, the go live, and then you can just click on this button, and it is just going to launch your website on this particular port number 127.0.0 double colon 5500. You can replace this 127.0.0.1 with localhost. So you can write this, or you can directly write this localhost. Both are actually same. You can write localhost, or you can write this number here, and at this IP address your website will be live. And let me just bring our code back like this. Yes, installed. Yeah, thank you. Now let's move to the next part, which is a little bit of animation related, and how we can have animation in our CSS. So for that, let me just let me just have a single one division here, and also let us give it some, mm, let's just give it some styling as well of proper width as well, width of 100 pixels. And let me remove this flex glow, otherwise it will be like. And also let us bring this box in the center, justify content center, item the center, so we can basically have a closer look. Let us change the color as well. Yeah. And now I want to give it some styling, what you say, animation. So how there are two type of animation in CSS. First animation we give by the transition property. And how we do this, it's very simple. uh, there's a way to style this division in their state. So a division can have multiple any element can have a state called as hover. We call it as a hover. What is hover? If I move my cursor over this division, that it means I'm hovering over this division. I'm hovering over this division here. So if you are going to hover over this, you can specifically target that situation, and you can that style that as well. So what I mean, select anything with the ID of 1, select anything with the ID of 1, and put a colon here and type hover, and just like this. So by this I mean, if anything with the ID of 1 is going to get hovered, apply these properties that I'm going to mention here. So let me just specify some properties. Let's change the background color, and also let's increase the height and width. So let's say the width to 120 pixels, and also height to 120 pixels. So right now the color is like whatever the color is this, and then I just want to change the color to this if I'm going to hover over this. And see, as soon as I move my cursor over this, it is basically applying these properties. So this is called as transition. Okay. And now as you can see here, it's very jerky. There's no smoothness in it. You can easily fix it. All you have to do is to use one more property, and that is called transition property. Inside this, in your simple ID selector, just go over here and write a property called as transition. And here you have to specify a number like, let's say, 1 second, and save it. Now this transition property means, it means like, if and for any reason, if any of these CSS properties, if any of the CSS property for this element 1 is going to change, then it will take 1 second of time. So it means, if for any reason, if the CSS properties for this element 1 is going to change, then in that case it will take 1 second of time for that transition to happen. So that is what we are specifying here. So now see here, it is taking 1 second of time to change its color, and also to change its size. So we have a animation here. Yeah, so we now have an animation here, and you can basically now it's on your creativity that how you can use it. So we'll create a good animation, don't worry. But I think before that, let me just tell you about one more CSS property, which is called as box shadow. So box shadow, shadow box, whatever you want to call it. So for that, you can give it a property here. Yeah, you can ask me one question: why we are giving transition property here, not inside the hover? Because these properties will only get applied when my cursor is over this division. And as soon as I remove my cursor from this division, these properties will be discarded. These properties will discarded. So if I provide this transition property here instead of the simple one element, now if I'm going to put hover my cursor here, so it's taking 1 second of time. Okay, great. But if I remove my cursor, it is coming back to the original position without like even a single second. It is doing that like almost instantly. Why? Because as soon as I removed my cursor from here, these all properties got removed, and the transition property also got removed. So that's why it is not going to take 1 second of time. So that is why you always keep this transition property inside this, because these are the properties which will never get discarded. They will just get overridden from this hour, right? And now let me just tell you about one more CSS property which is called as box shadow here. So if you want to give a shadow to any box and all, to any division, you can use this box shadow property. And this is how we give it. So let me just give it. So we have some box shadow here. So it's little difficult to understand. So let me just give you a simpler way. Shadow generator. So you can use tools like this to create a shadow. No worries, I'll explain all. So don't worry. So this is how the box shadow property actually looks like. It have actually five values to be exact. It have five values. The first value defines how much your shadow is going to be in the horizontal direction. The first value defines uh, like it means negative and it means positive. Okay, so you can basically specify it like this. So the first value specifies the horizontal value like 10 pixel. The second value specifies the vertical direction. So second value specifies the vertical direction. So let me just specify it. Let's say 10 pixel here again. Third value specifies the blurriness of your shadow. Blur, how blur you want your shadow to be. And the fourth specify the spread of your shadow. So the fourth property specify the spread of your shadow, how much spread you want from your shadow. And the last property specifies the color. So blur I want to be 0, spread I want to be let's say 0, and the color I want is this one. And we have our shadow here like this. So we have our shadow here. If we increase this one, so I'm increasing the blurriness. I don't want any blur, so 0. If I want to increase the spread, just write 10 here. If I want to decrease my spread, just type 5 here. I want it to be 10, so let me just give it a 0. I want no spread here. And I can change it as well like this, 20, 40 like this. Let me just use this box shadow property with the animation. So in my animation, I'll change the box shadow to some other value. Let's just change it to this and like this. And let me just make it 1. As you can see, as I hover over this, the shadow is also changing. The shadow is also changing. Let me just change the shadow color as well. Okay, so it's see, shadow is also changing. And let me just decrease the time to 0.4 second. Yeah. So we have created an animation here. So whatever the animation like lag to theek hi raha hai. So this is how you can modify. So you can just modify these CSS properties. So it's all about your imagination that how you change these CSS property, right? I think what is Marquee tag? Not clear. Which yeah, Nishad, which part you want me to repeat? Hello Sanjay, thanks. We'll try again. Okay, from here I need to repeat. Yeah, I'll just cover the Marquee tag. So Marquee tag, like nowadays nobody uses this Marquee tag. If you want to get a banner like line, like you have seen the news in the news channels, you have a line which is moving from left to right. You can use this Marquee like this. For these kind of things, you use Marquee. Welcome to the website and all. And you can change all these properties like this. Welcome to my website. So this is the marquee. You can basically use this marquee, and inside this you can write some text which will move from left to right direction. You can change the behavior of this marquee. You can make it a scroll smooth. You make it faster. You can change the direction as well. So you can do all sort of stuff with this marquee, but it's rarely used. So I'm also not going to use it. It's too old fashioned. Until you are creating a vintage website, you won't use it. Okay, so is it clear? And can you tell me, Nishad, which part it is not clear to you, so I can repeat that part for you? I think we have covered a lot. Okay, I'll just tell you what are the VS Code extensions I mostly use. So right now I'm not using my own laptop, so this laptop does not have that much of extension. What is the assignment and attendance section? Some our Yeah, you will get a assignment every day, and you have to submit the assignment, and it will just increase your count. But don't worry, if you just try your best. Okay, okay. The screen is not but now it's okay. Okay, that's great, Nishad. Yeah. So just mark your attendance every day if you want to get your certificate. If you're not going to mark your attendance, you won't get your certificate. So that's very important. Okay, let's move to the next part. And we have covered almost everything now. We have covered box model, also some little bit of animation, all the basic properties, and we have already done a lot of stuff. And let's see what we want to create. Let me just open the Apple website. That is actually we are going to create. So we are actually not this one, so it have the store and all. Apple.com. So let me just write here. Apple. Mm-mm-mm. This is the one. Okay, so we will recreate this thing. So let's just try to create this navbar today. Like we have already enough knowledge that we can create this navbar, and we are going to learn the rest of the stuff together. So for now, let's just try it. Like if we can do or not. So I'm going to remove everything. All I will leave is these properties. Also, let me just remove this. I'm going to add one more property: box sizing to border box. I'll tell you what is this. I'll tell you what is this now. Just remind me once. And let me just make it this much. And I let's see if we can make it responsive as well. So first thing we have here is a navbar. Okay, so create this navbar. For this, I'm going to use our div like this. We have 2 more days left, which is more than enough. Let me give it an idea of nav. Yeah, and with this, let me tell you one thing. You have some more tags like we have something called as semantic tags. These semantic tags are, let's say, nav, a header, section. So instead of using div here, I'm going to use nav. And this nav is like nothing special. This tag nav is nothing special. It is exactly same as the div tag. It's There is nothing special in this nav tag. Only thing it is going to help us to read our code. That okay, so this is going to be a navigation bar. And the second, it will increase the SEO of my website so that Google can easily find my website through the internet. It also makes our code little bit pretty. So that's the reason. By the way, if you want to use div, you can, but I'll use a nav here. Let us grab the nav here, and let us give it a background color. And for the background color, let me just see what is the background color they are using. Inspect. So you can just right click on any of the element, click on this inspect here, and you can see the CSS styling. You can see the CSS styling here. So I think this is the background color they are using. So let me just use the same background color here. I hope they are using this background color. And next thing, let me just give this snap bar a height of, let's say, for now 50 pixels. Okay, so we got this. Okay, so this is not the color they are using. Uh, 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 uh. so let me, like, I use an extension called color picker, but I can't find this any like in this laptop. So what is the color they are using? Nope. Okay, now I got this. So this one is the color. This is the color they are using for sure. Not exactly. Let me just try to make it same as theirs. Okay, okay. And second thing, the font. So let's just also see what are the what font they are using. So I think let me search for font family. So there's no font property here. Yeah, it's inherited from where? From the HTML, from the body, inside the body, styles, font family, presenter. It's SF Pro text. So these are the font they are using. So let me just get the Google font for this SF Pro. So this is the font they are using in their website. So let me just copy the font from here from Google so that our website will look exactly same as theirs. And the very next step we have to do is just we need to remove this one, the older one. Just copy this thing, copy this whole thing here. And I think they are using so many fonts. We'll see like if we want to copy all of them or not. And let me just provide the font family to every component, which is I think SF. What was the font name? Source Pro, whatever the name is like. Font name, font names are little weird every time. Okay, and what else we have here? Icon. So let me just get this icon as well. So I think it's a span with this anchor. Let's just bring it out so that it won't change its style. Open, inspect here, class. Where's the icon? Okay, let me just increase its size. We have to get a Apple icon. We will get that. They just have a text here and all. So I'll just get the icon from there. So they are not providing the icon in the source code. Okay, so Apple is not generous enough to give us the icon, obviously. Then we have some text here. So let's just get the text inside of this. So inside my navbar, let me just have some span. Let's just have some divisions. Div like this, or you can also have a paragraph. P. First one was I think. First one was store. Store. Second one is it always happens once it get attached to some element. It always do this. P here, and the second one is Mac. I can change these to ally, but ally will have some dot here. That is not what I want to. iPad. Then let's go with the iPhone. Let's have watch like this, and let's just do this here. Let me just open this. Yeah, so we are getting this. And the very next step, what I want to do here, like inside this nav, I'm just going to change the back color. Okay, just change the color to white first of all, because the text is black right now, so it won't be visible. So let me just change the color to white here. FFF. Let's save it. Now it's white, and I'm just going to give it a display property of flex. So it will be like side by side display property of flex. Now they are side by side. And also let's give it justify content, align atom center first of all, and justify content space between. So now they are like separated. And also we have to have some space in between of them. So for that, let me just give it a padding. And I want to give padding only in the two direction. I just want to give the padding from the left direction and from the right direction. I don't want to give some padding from top to bottom. So what you can do, padding left. So by this, you're just giving the padding from the left direction, and same you can do in the right direction. And if you want to write this thing in a single line, you can write padding inline. Padding inline. Padding, where we have the padding inline. Line here, and for the padding inline I want to give it, let's say, 40 pixels, and I'm going to remove this here. Okay, so we have some padding. Let me just increase this little bit more to 150 pixels. Now it's better. Let us increase this little bit more. Okay, there's so much of padding from left to right direction. So let's just do this, about, let's say, 400 pixels is more than enough. It is okay, so now it is in the center. Fonts are very small as well, so we'll fix that as well. And then you have some icons here and some icons here, so we'll add that. And after this we have this bar here. I think this is the division, so let me just add this division as well. After this, let me just add a div, and inside the div, it is what is written, iPhone overview, switching to iPhone, packing by. So for now, let me just write here iPhone. So in the left side, we are going to have a span. In the span, I'm going to write iPhone, iPhone here. And in the right direction, we just have the icon by here. For that, I'm going to use something, a tag called as button with a small b. And inside this, you will have by. Let me just give this thing an ID of, let's say, iPhone bar. I'm giving it an idea of iPhone bar. You can come up with very good name. Today we are just doing the testing and all, like if we can do it or not. Height of, let's just give it a height of 50 pixels. Tomorrow we will do the units and all. Background should be white. Padding left and right. Padding inline of 400 pixels. Padding inline. We will fix that, like, afterwards. We don't have to give it padding inline. Then let me just grab this text here. I'm going to give it an ID of iPhone text. iPhone text here. Just copy this, go over here, iPhone text. Let's increase the font and width as well. Here, let me just increase the font to 900, and let's change its color to the perfect pitch black. Have this. iPhone bar should be of display flex, because I want them to left to right direction, and also justify content to be space mean. Let me just increase its size. I think I have given a lot of padding. Let's just decrease this padding to only 100 pixels for now. We will change it later. Yep. And I want to change this buy now button. So let me give it an ID of buy now. I think it should be like buy button. Let's give it an ID of buy button. Let's go over here. Buy button. BUTTON. And I think the background color was blue here. What was the color? Now it's gone, like yeah, yeah. Let's just get the color. Yeah, so this is the color. So let me just get the color exactly same background color to this color, and remove all this. Buy button. Buy button. Border, I just want to remove the border, so let's just remove the border to none. I don't want any border. And also I just want it some fixed amount of height. Let's say it should be 20 pixels, and width of some amount. I think it was not that big. The button is very tiny here. It's very, very tiny. And let's change the color as well. So color, let's just give it a perfect white color. And here I also want to give it align items center, so they are in the center. And next thing, I just want the roundness. For that you can give a property border radius. So now it is rounded as well. And let us increase its height little bit more. like this, and let's increase the border radius to 15. Okay, and this is not having this much of thickness. iPhone text, it's just 600, and let's increase the font size to 50. So not 50, 50 is too much. Phone, I think font is little different in that case. 4, 400. Okay, and I just want to give this thing border bottom. So there was some border bottom here in the iPhone bar. Let me just give it a border, but only in the bottom direction. So border bottom, and this is the border bottom I want to give it. So right now it is having the complete border, and I just want it from here to here. We just want it to be like not that much. So let me just give it a width of 80% of the screen width. So this is the width I want, not the 80%. And I want to give it a margin from left to right direction, margin inline, auto. So I will explain this. What is this? So what I've done here, that I have given it a width of this bottom bar, a width of 80%. Then the next thing what I did, I have given it a margin left and the margin right in a single line. You can do this in a single line. Just type margin inline, and I have written there auto. What auto is going to do, it is going to give equal amount of margin from left to the right direction. So now it is in the center, and I think the border is little thicker in our case. So let's make it 0.5 pixels solid and all. It's already least thin. It's so thin. It's much more thin here. So let's just do this by doing 0.01. अरे अब तो लिमिट ही खत्म हो जाएगी इसके बाद, तो फिर ट्रांसपेरेंसी थोड़ी घटा देते हैं. Okay, now we have this border. Okay, we have a lot to do, but we will eventually. Don't worry about that. We are going to create this complete website. In the tomorrow session, we are going to learn about the units. So today, like I felt like that I have to cover the unit first. So like in this thing, we have to use so many of the units. So that's why we'll cover that. And I'll get all the colors and all that I have here. So these colors like very important, and these icons, we will require these icons and these images. So I'm going to get create a folder where I will have this all images and icon, and then we will create this. So tomorrow's session is going to be very important, because in the tomorrow session I'm going to cover the units and some many more things. Can we put a div in a span if you require to? Yeah, you can do that. It's not that weird. But why? Like, what's the reason you will do that? We rarely use a span anyways. Okay. Before that, let me just tell you about the course that we are offering. And for now, like as our New Year offer, we are giving 7,000 rupees off on our both the courses. We have two courses here: the full stack data science program and full stack web development program. Both the courses are job ready. The duration will be of 6 months. After the 6 months, if you want to land a job, you can very easily, because we will prepare you for the interview and we will schedule an interview with our partner companies. You will get one-to-one mentoring every day for the 90 minutes. You can, if you want to pause the course, you can pause the course and you can come back. In both of these courses, you will have 15 projects, 15 real-time projects. So you are going to do all the learnings with the project, and we have our own platform where you can do get all our classes. You will get the video for these classes, for those live classes for the lifetime. And also, if you refer it, so just copy the refer code, and once you will log in, you can easily copy the refer code. On the first refer, you can earn 2,000 rupees or a wireless mouse and keyboard from Logitech. On your eighth refer, you can get MacBook Air or the 80,000 rupees. So you can enroll into our course and use refer 20 to get 7,000 rupees, or you can refer it to your friends, your family who may require this course, who want to become a software developer, a data scientist, or a full stack web developer. Just refer this course to them, and you can earn money with this. So this is it for today's session, and I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's session is very important, so don't forget to join. Bye bye and take care.